What's going on, everybody? This is Bobby G, aka Bobby Bookworm, back with my first book review in a while. Part of that is because this book took me so long to get through. I want to say it took me at least close to, if not a month, to get through this book. It is a very big one. It is a very long one. Pause. But it's called The Return of the God Hypothesis, 3 Scientific Discoveries That Reveal the Mind Behind the Universe by Stephen C. Meyer. This is his third book. His first book was Signature in the Cell, and the second one, which I have, is called Darwin's Doubt. This book, not including notes, is a good 450 pages. That's not including acknowledgments and notes. The notes are at least a good 70, 80 pages long. But this book really, my takeaways from it is that very thorough. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize, spoiler alert for those of you who don't know, is that the modern scientific method was based on what's known as Occam's razor, which he mentions in the book. And Occam's razor is by a scientist or a natural philosopher, as they were called, scientists were called at the time, named Occam, who, O-C-K-H-A-M, by the way, if you want to find Occam's razor, O-C-K-H-A-M, apostrophe S, Occam's razor. And he talked about how that if we are created in the image and likeness of God, and if God created everything, well, then there should be evidence of God's power or God's handiwork, evidence in creation. Now, the other side of that razor is that we are human beings who are flawed and we're not God, and because of the fall, we are prone to make mistakes. So we have to be very, very careful and make sure we fact check and really look at the different parts of evidence with regards to science when we're trying to find something as a fact, and that while we have to be careful to not necessarily say absolutes, but what we can say is that based upon the evidence, the most likely reason for something is X. That is kind of the gist of Occam's razor in that particular theory. He quotes a lot of people like Stephen Hawking, who a lot of people might not associate with faith because he wasn't. However, some of the discoveries he made, what was known as the Ellis-Penrose-Hawking theorem, as regard to the Big Bang. And the way that the Big Bang theory really was set up was by a combination of Edwin Hubble and Albert Einstein, with theory of relativity and Edwin Hubble's redshift energy, in regards to a particular energy field that might be found within creation of an expanding universe that may have had a finite beginning. Biblically, if I were to say what this book really pushed me to was certain things like being fearfully and wonderfully made. Before I was in my mother's womb, you knew me, but not even just that, but with regards to everything that exists in creation, such as the boids, the trees, the fish, the creatures, big and small, and just the air we breathe. Really just existence as a whole, when you really take a look at things, and Dr. Meyer really tries to break this down. Again, I don't want to get into too much detail, but it is very, very thorough. It's a lot of words, a lot of big words, but really he tries to get in this book something that he had kind of pushed aside for a while, which the theory of intelligent design, for those who don't know, it's not just Christians who believe in intelligent cause for existence. There are people who are Jewish, who are Muslim, who are agnostics, who think that the universe came into existence because of that. One such known is the Kalam argument, which is actually founded by a Muslim scholar who came up with the idea. But the point of it is that there has to be a reason for existence, especially when you look at the universe, when you look at galaxies, when you look at space matter, even when you look at existence, and you look at space space-time and matter, whether it's energy, whether it's atoms, protons, neutrons, etc. The math on it is mind-boggling, to say the least. There are so many things, and even in the DNA, how the DNA set it up. One of the biggest things that Dr. Meyer argues about in this book is that the DNA double helix with the proteins and the backbone, the spines, if you will, the double helix spine with the proteins in between. Those are parts of how the human cell and the human body activate, how the human body work. But where that information come from is a question. Where did the information-rich possibilities for people to come into existence is something that a lot of atheistic or naturalistic materialist scientists or Darwinian types or neo-Darwinian types don't answer. Like, the answer that people and the universe and all that is full of rich information and rich data, but they don't explain where that data or that information came from. And he argues in his book, again, it's a very long one, why the God hypothesis is the best reasoning for existence and for why we have what we have in our universe. Not just on this planet, but in this universe. And he tackles things such as the multiverse theory. He tackles things such as the static state universe, as well as the infinite universe. And really, he has a lot of help in certain regards to certain things that he has done. And again, I don't want to give every single thing away, but I just want to give a few nuggets out there what goes into this. But again, the thing that kept coming back to me is God being the creator of all, and really there's no getting around how important this is, how important understanding the mechanisms of things are. Like the fine-tuning of the universe he talks about is so precise, and so many other scientists that he quotes have said the same thing, that it's impossible for this stuff not to be fine-tuned or not to be set in a specific order. It just doesn't make any sense. There's no reason why everything is random. All that being said, I would say this is a book, again, that I would highly recommend. I really would. It's a book that will challenge you. It will stretch you, especially if you're someone who, I'm not the biggest mathematician. I'm not a math geek, and I'm not the biggest scientist in the world. But I do have some things that I retained from school, from high school, and even to some degree college, that have stuck with me, that make me stop and think. Even when I looked at people who are not necessarily of the faith, but just looked at general books with regards to existence. All that to say, this is a book I very strongly recommend. And in today's society where everything is relative, in today's society where everything is just all over the place, probably one of the biggest takeaways I got from this book is that despite the opinion of some people in this world, there are certain things that are absolute. So many people want to argue today that there's no such thing as absolutes, but if you read this book, you're going to find that no, the only way for the Big Bang to make sense is that there has to be an absolute 0 point, or 0 point beginning to the universe. That it isn't infinite, but that it started at a finite point. And in order for that to be a case, there has to be some intelligent force for that to be a thing. But that's my take on it. That's my takeaway from it. When I'll be getting into the next book review, I don't know. It'll depend on how long it takes me to get through my next book. But we'll see. But that's my take. This is Bobby's book review. I hope that this is a blessing, and that I hope that it's something to consider. As I said before, one of the biggest things I try to push when I do my book reviews is to get people to critically think, and to think objectively, and to really consider what they know or what they think they know, and to allow themselves to admit that they don't know everything, and allow themselves to take that as a point to open themselves up to more information and to learn and to grow. This is my book review. Hopefully I'll see you on the other flip side. Peace.